But what if the goal of writing is communication, and if this is just the new way that people are going to communicate, when do we leave Shakespeare behind?
I don't think you would ever do that, because the thing is, and this also ties in. Were you guys in honors classes in high school?
No.
Yeah.
No.
See, I mean, I was always in honors classes, so I never knew the other side, like the lower level classes.
People like me.
Yeah, I didn't know that. As a teacher, I see that. But you assume, I mean, this isn't always true, obviously. People go on to be successful, but you assume when you enter like corporate world or you get to a higher level job, they expect you to be able to write grammatically correct.
Okay.
So if you get someone who can write grammatically correct and then they get an email from someone who's writing misspelled words or grammar, they're not going to look at them like this is the person I want to hire. You're right. I mean, we get the message, they're communicating effectively, but it shows that it just seems like they're uneducated.
I totally agree with you. I'll give my little side story on that. Because I didn't take honors classes, I didn't take high school or any schooling too seriously. I did the minimum amount to get the B's and C's. And even as the internet was coming online when I was in high school, I learned to plagiarize. So I actually probably only wrote one essay. I remember, I think it was junior year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to write this essay assignment.
Let's see what this feels like.
Yeah, it was fucking terrible. Like, I think the teacher was like, what the fuck is this kid? Why is this kid writing these sentences that are so obvious? Like, why did you even write that? So going into in the corporate world, I think between the ages of 19 to 24, I didn't realize that writing an email was so important for your manager to see you as someone competent, for your manager to see that you understand these concepts at a high level, and that you could voice it for others to understand, not just that manager. So around, I think 24 and up, I started to really focus on trying to just write emails and making the best, fixing all the grammar and everything. And I don't know, it's hard to tell as I grew up, because as you work in a career, as you look older, that also helps. So I don't know how much was me focusing on English. I think I feel like actually it was probably around like 34, and then also 34 to 37, certain managers would come to me like, man, your emails just get to the point. They're so clear, concise. Everybody understands you. There's no ambiguity, but that no one said that prior. So it's just, I don't know.
Wait, so you're saying I should take the cartoon dick off of my signature on that email?
Jeff Bezos' cock rocket. That's what comes to mind when you say dick right now.
Get your head out of rockets, dude.
So sorry, that was a long tangent. So you're saying texting, you see that in kids writing essays.
And the lower level kids.
But are you guys making the case then that maybe this educated, grammatically correct, higher level writing skill is paying off in more intelligent people? Is there? Is that the value that we're saying?
Yeah.
Well, I don't like rules just for rules.
No, and also, I mean, you brought up the point of communication. If you have a higher level vocabulary and more words, you can communicate more effectively. You can eliminate that ambiguity. One of my favorite things to do, and you guys know Key and Peele?
Yes.
The show.
Key and Peele is a skit comedy.
Yeah, skit show. They have one where they're texting, but they're miscommunicating. They don't know they're being super nice, but they're getting really angry at each other. So again, just being able to communicate effectively and write using that higher level vocabulary is super important. Because then, I mean, I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten from a student, and it's like it comes off as super rude or arrogant, and that's not them. I know it. They just don't know how to write correctly. So it is valuable.
I'll just add on to that more tangents. I heard it wasn't a scientist. It was probably like
Is this about black comedians?
No.
Okay.
A language expert, I think. He said that the higher level of language, and this is the higher level of the language where you could describe things very accurately. It's not actually sometimes about communication. It's allowing the mind to the mind to think deeper, more accurate, and be way more conceptual all around everything. So if you have one language that, unfortunately, the example that I can think about, say in Vietnamese, the word blue and green is sun, mao, sun, color color blue-green. So it's very ambiguous. You could say sun lakai, which means green like a leaf or green leaf, or sunbing, which is blue beach, blue ocean. But if you just say sun and the Mao sun color, you see that Mao sun over there, you're going to know I'm talking about blue. But that might cause a trigger or something in the mind to process less.
So you're saying having more vocabulary makes your mind more intricate?
That's what that language expert was kind of trying to say. And I think I agree from my limited knowledge on it.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it helps you communicate too. I mean, I think we both know how valuable communication is.
Yeah, we use big words.
Yeah, but if you say, "Oh,
we're erudite,"
that pizza was good. Okay, cool. Like, what about it? Like, that movie was bad. Okay, like it doesn't do anything, right? So I think I agree with you completely. It allows you to think more complexly, but then it gets your message across in a better way.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I don't like is that the word "ain't" is not allowed.
Ain't.
Well, because we all know what "ain't" means.
Yeah.
And we even know how to spell it with an apostrophe.
Yeah. So it is formal.
It's weird to have a word that we all know, use, and know how to spell, but we ain't supposed to use it.
Yeah. I mean, because research, right? Like formal
Can I
writing,
fight for "ain't"?
I'm all about it.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. If I know what it means, well, and they're always changing the rules. Yeah, they're always changing. Like every year, the dictionary. Like I think they added "dough" from The Simpsons one year. Like so, I guess it's officially a word.
I use that in my text.
Yeah. So, but they're always changing the rules, and until recently, you couldn't refer to a single person as they, because that's grammatically incorrect. But then they just changed that.
Because now you're including all their genders.
Well, now you're including genders, and that's why it's become acceptable. But the rules are always changing, which is why I'm not like a grammar Nazi. As long as it seems more or less acceptable, I'm not going to like penalize them for stuff like that.
Gotcha. So as long as you're moving towards a higher ground, as long as you're aspiring.
Yeah. As long as I see improvement, I see that you can put a sentence together, even if you have words that might not officially be like real words. Hey, I'm all about it. Unless you're like an AP class, then I got to be more strict. But
let me play devil's advocate to your train of thought there. What if, say, I'm emailing a CEO of a company?
Yes.
And I'm writing something about software, saying the database needs to be sharded. And then I say, but
sharded means something else now too.
Well, yeah, in tech it means something else.
Okay.
It means to break it out into different
pieces,
segments.
Yeah.
But then I use we ain't doing this to the CEO. So wouldn't language be like a uniform to somebody?
So I mean, if you think that CEO is going to look down at you for that usage of that word, he's going to think you one notch less educated. Then you'd be smart to not do it. So you're in a game now, right? You're what is my CEO going to think if I use this language? So it all gets very complex very quickly, which is why I'm saying we shouldn't have rules just for the sake of rules, right? So in that case, he knows what "ain't" means. He knows you ain't want to do it, right? So any way you want to use it.
Nobody wants to shard in their pants.
That's right.
But sharding a database is okay.
No sharding at work. So, I mean, but even, there you go, sharding. Shart is a word that our population knows. I bet you 90% of people will know, oh, you're talking about accidentally shitting when you meant to fart in your pants. So, so then would you say shart is not a word if it's not in the dictionary? I would say, well, if everybody knows what it means and we all use it, then...
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets to also, I mean, like context, obviously, but I think there are older teachers that wouldn't know what it means. So if you're trying to get across a message, that's when using this like slang might not pay off, and they may be like, "What are you talking about?" But also older teachers are the one who are like, "No, we need to be super strict with grammar and the rules and things like that." So it really just depends on context.
Would you support America going phonetic spelling?
Oh yeah. I always tell English is such a dumb language.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Super not phonetic.
Yeah. It doesn't, you wouldn't know. And that's why.
Even the word phonetic is not phonetic.
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense. So that's why they say never laugh at someone who mispronounces something, because it means they learned it by reading. Like some words you would never know unless someone told you this is how you say it or this is how you spell it.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So English is dumb.
Yes.
And that's from an English teacher. It's such a ridiculous language.
It has a lot of complex rules that don't seem to serve any purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and it makes sense. It came from like Latin or whatever these words. They're derived from different languages, but you think at some point someone would say, okay, this is dumb. Let's change it.
Yeah, that and daylight savings.
Yeah, that's dumb too. Doesn't make any sense.
We're gonna fix America.
This is what we're gonna
Send this podcast to the president.
buckle down and get it done.
I hear you more on that too, as my wife is learning English, I'm teaching her, and then I'm realizing when she's saying a word by reading it, and I'm like, oh, that's an exception again. Oh, that's another exception. And then it's terrible. It's like I tell her, well, in this context where I'm trying to think of, I can't think, talk, TALK, the A is, I say it's a lowercase sound, ah, but then there's sometimes if you have a vowel 2 letters away, that makes the A, the big A sound. So I tell her like, okay, so in that situation is like 80% of the time. Like, what the fuck is that? 80%, 70%? I don't even know what the percentage would be correct, but it just sucks to tell her it's just 80% of the time.
Yeah, the English rules are ridiculous. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And that's why I think they say like English is one of the hardest languages to learn. Because it just doesn't make sense most of the time. Because
it's I before E, except most of the time.
Yeah.
And then I started noticing certain words that have the T in the middle or towards the end. It sounds more like a D. Better.
Yeah.
Well, that's also just because we don't speak properly, which is another problem with, if we spoke the way we were supposed to, it would solve a lot of these issues too, but we don't.
Or if we spelled phonetically.
Yeah.
I would almost not teach rules and just memorize, this is better, or this is the word better. Because I see the same thing in Spanish. They have this whole thing of conjugating verbs of we, I, you, and the whoever's saying it or what you're applying to changes the form of the word. And so when they teach you in school, they teach you all of these conjugations of every verb. So you're learning some vocabulary words, but you're also learning those vocabulary words times 7. So when you go talk to a native Spanish speaker, they go, yeah, I don't think about that. I just grew up saying it the way I say it. And just from context of, I know the rules, but you just get used to using it. So the usage, just going straight to the usage is better than, trying to learn some rules and figuring out 80% of what, and what, when the rule applies, when the rule doesn't apply.
Well, there's a lot of Spanish speakers obviously in here in Southern California, but they grew up speaking Spanish, but they didn't like read it or write it. So they struggle. I mean, you can imagine if you grew up speaking English, but you had never read it or written it, you would have just as hard of a time. You couldn't read it because it doesn't look the way it sounds a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So you would struggle like crazy trying to read it because it's not phonetic. So it just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah. So, it makes sense why so many Spanish speakers struggle with that.